Wellness Rhythm Show. Find your rhythm. Live your wellness.
Y'all, here's a question that genuinely kept me up last night. What if one of the biggest drivers of chronic inflammation in your body right now is something you literally cannot see, taste, or smell?
Right. And here's the research finding that reframes everything. A 2024 study published in the New England Journal of Medicine, lead author Rafael Marfella at the University of Campania found microplastics and nanoplastics embedded in arterial plaque. Patients with detectable levels had a significantly higher risk of heart attack, stroke, and death over a 3-year follow-up.
So we are not talking about plastics are bad. Use a metal straw. We're talking about particles inside arterial tissue driving measurable inflammatory outcomes.
Exactly. And today we're asking, what does the current clinical data actually tell us? What remains genuinely uncertain? And what can a real person do with this information right now?
So let's start at the beginning, because I think a lot of people hear microplastics and picture fish. They do not picture their own bloodstream.
Fair. So microplastics are particles smaller than 5 millimeters. Nanoplastics are smaller still, under 1 micrometer. And research published in Environment International confirmed that both are now detectable in human blood. A 2022 study by Leslie and colleagues found plastic particles in 77% of blood donors tested.
77%. Y'all, that is not a fringe finding. That is most people.
And the particles identified included PT, polyethylene terephthalate, what your water bottles are made from, and polystyrene. The question researchers are now asking is not whether they get in, but what they do once they're there.
Which brings us to inflammation. And here's the thing, though. This is where it gets complicated, right? Because inflammation is already such an overloaded word in wellness spaces.
It really is. So let's be precise. The Marfella study found that patients with microplastics in their carotid plaque had higher levels of C-reactive protein and interleukin-18. Those are established inflammatory biomarkers. This was not self-reported wellness data. This was tissue analysis paired with blood markers.
So the body is recognizing these particles as foreign and mounting a response.
That appears to be the mechanism, yes. Research from the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences describes this as a sterile inflammatory response. The immune system attacks something it cannot clear, and that sustained activation is what researchers believe contributes to systemic damage over time.
Okay, I want to flag something here, because I think listeners need to hear this clearly. We are not saying microplastics cause heart disease. We are saying there is an association, a plausible biological mechanism, and a concerning early clinical signal.
Brilliant point, Emma. And that distinction matters enormously. Correlation, mechanism, causality, those are 3 different rungs on the evidence ladder. The Marfella study is significant precisely because it moves us closer to that 3rd rung, but the scientific community is appropriately cautious.
So let's talk about who this matters most for, because our listeners span a huge range of life stages.
Right. The concern is arguably highest for people over 50, where cumulative exposure over decades is longer and where baseline inflammatory burden tends to be higher anyway. The sandwich generation, people managing their own health while caring for aging parents, this is relevant for both generations simultaneously.
And honestly, anyone with an existing inflammatory condition, autoimmune issues, cardiovascular risk factors, metabolic concerns, if your inflammatory baseline is already elevated, adding a chronic low-grade irritant is not nothing.
Now, and I want to be genuinely balanced here, some researchers, including those at the European Food Safety Authority, have noted that current exposure levels in most people are likely below thresholds that cause acute harm. The long-term cumulative picture is what remains under active investigation.
So this is not a panic moment. This is a pay attention moment.
Precisely. And this is where practical action becomes meaningful, because several entry points for microplastic exposure are genuinely addressable.
Let's name them, because I think people assume this is all about bottled water, and it is way more layered than that.
It is. Research from Mason and colleagues at SUNY Fredonia and subsequent work published in Frontiers in Chemistry identified bottled water as a significant source. Some samples contained over 10 times the plastic particles found in tap water. But the other major contributors are food packaging, particularly heating food in plastic containers, and also synthetic textiles shedding particles into indoor air.
Okay, the heating plastic thing. I have been guilty of this. Reheating leftovers in whatever container they came in.
Extremely common. And the chemistry here is fairly clear. Heat accelerates the leaching of plastic compounds, including BPA analogues and phthalates, into food. Switching to glass or ceramic for reheating is one of the most evidence-supported practical changes anyone can make.
And it is not expensive. A set of glass containers is a one-time thing. This is not a luxury wellness purchase.
Right. Similarly, a good quality water filter, specifically one certified to NSF Standard 53 or Standard 58 for filtration, reduces microplastic load from tap water substantially. Independent testing by Consumer Reports and the Environmental Working Group support this.
And before anyone asks, and they will ask, those under-sink filters and countertop pitchers with certified carbon block filters are the ones that actually work for this. The cute little Brita with the basic filter is not doing the same job.
Worth checking the NSF certification specifically. That is the marker to look for.
Here's where I want to push back a little, though, because I think there is a real risk of this topic becoming another wellness anxiety spiral. And I have been in those spirals, y'all. They are not productive.
That's a fair challenge. What's your concern specifically?
That someone listens to this and suddenly feels like everything is contaminated and there's no point. I've seen that happen with food topics especially. The response becomes paralysis or an extreme purge, neither of which is actually sustainable.
And the evidence does not support an extreme response. The research suggests that reducing exposure at key high leverage points, heating food in plastic, drinking from plastic bottles regularly, is where most of the practical benefit sits. A wholesale life overhaul is not indicated.
Thank you. That framing helps. Additive and subtractive in equal measure.
And here's the other side of this that is genuinely hopeful. The body's own anti-inflammatory mechanisms matter here. Research on omega-3 fatty acids, polyphenol-rich diets, and sleep quality all point to the same conclusion. Supporting your baseline inflammatory health gives your system a better buffer regardless of the stressor.
We have talked about all of those in earlier episodes, and this is exactly the kind of thing that connects everything together. Your gut health, your sleep, your diet, they are not separate modules. They are the same system.
And if you find this kind of joined-up thinking useful, which I suspect you do since you're here, please do like and subscribe to the Wellness Rhythm Show. It genuinely helps us reach more people who want evidence without the panic.
We appreciate every single one of you who shares this with someone who needs it.
Now, one area where I want to add honest nuance. The research on microplastics is moving fast, but it is still early. We do not yet have long-term randomized data on human health outcomes specifically tied to reduced plastic exposure. Some of what we know is extrapolated from animal models and cellular studies. That gap is real and worth acknowledging.
So we are making informed decisions with incomplete information, which honestly is just life.
It really is, and the precautionary principle applies reasonably here. The cost of switching to glass for reheating is low. The potential benefit, if the mechanistic evidence holds up at scale, is meaningful. That is a reasonable trade.
And here's the thing, though. This does not require perfection. My household is not going to eliminate plastic. We have school-aged kids. Plastic is everywhere in that ecosystem. But I can control what I heat food in. I can control what filter is on my tap. Those feel like wins I can actually sustain.
Which is exactly the right frame. Precision at the points of highest leverage, not anxiety about everything else.
Okay, so if there is one thing to walk away with today, pick up a glass or ceramic container set for reheating food. That is it. That is the most evidence-supported, lowest-cost, highest-impact swap this research points to.
And if you want the slightly nerdier version of that takeaway, check your water filter's NSF certification rating, 53 or 58. Write it on your hand if you need to.
Y'all, the science on this is still developing, and we will absolutely revisit it as the research matures. But you are not powerless here. Small, smart changes at the right leverage points. That is the rhythm.
Right. And in the meantime, perhaps lay off reheating yesterday's pasta in the takeaway container. Small wins, as Emma says.
Thanks for spending this time with us. Take care of yourselves and each other. This show is part of the VoxCrea.ai system. If you want a show like this for your organization, without building it yourself,
go to VoxCrea.ai and request a sample episode.